franchise secrets, Eric Von Horn.
Hey, in this episode of Franchise Secrets, I have Keaton Hoskins on, and he's known as the Muscle. He's part of a TV show and does a lot in the business world with multiple different companies. He's an investor in Dirty Dough Cookies at the franchisor level, and wanted to get him on to talk about influence, talk about social media stuff, to talk about like how he got started, why he invested in Dirty Dough, how he works with his different companies. And then we ended up going down this rabbit hole of networking, and it's not what you think. And there's a reason that so many people are working hard at networking, and they're doing it the wrong way. I happen to really believe and think about networking the same way that he does. And it's probably one of the reasons he's on here. And it's a reason that I'm friends with people that I have no business being friends with. So I think franchisees, franchisors, you're going to love this episode with the Muscle from the Diesel Brothers, better known as Keaton Hoskins to his buddies. Keaton / the Muscle, welcome.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
100%. Now, what do most people like? What do your friends call you?
My friends call me Keaton. The fans call me the Muscle. So I know when I'm out and about and they yell the Muscle, I'm talking to a fan. My friends call me Keaton.
How often do your friends tease you by calling you the Muscle?
All the time. It's such a douchey nickname. I feel like, but the thing is I didn't come up with it. I have to tell people that I didn't come up with the name. We started our TV show in 2013. And before we actually started filming, they said, hey, you all need to have a nickname. So, of course, the guys at the shop, that's what they nicknamed me, you know? And so, of course, I get on TV as the Muscle, and people are like, this guy's going to just be a real dirtbag. But that's the nickname that I have. So I prefer people to call me Keaton.
All right. We're calling you Keaton. Bennett with Dirty Dough, who you know, you're part of that brand, he would say, hey, the Muscle. I'm like, what the Muscle? And he's like, Keaton. And so Bennett may not be in the friend category right now, or he thinks I'm just a fanboy. I don't know.
That's what I've noticed. Anytime I have partners in anything, they always refer to me as the Muscle, because that's the brand that most people know, and that's the name that usually gets them in the door for whatever purpose, you know. So it's usually the Muscle. But in person, Bennett and I are good friends. He does call me Keaton.
Well, I think this will be an interesting conversation because you're part of Dirty Dough at the brand level, like I am. I'm an advisor to Dirty Dough, and you're involved in a lot of other businesses as well. So kind of the link here is Dirty Dough, the franchisor. They're doing some cool things. You know about them, but then you and I have a lot of mutual friends, and I think it would just be interesting to talk about, you know, some of the stuff with Dirty Dough, and also just how you run your companies and how the TV show created influence, if that is what launched influence, and how do you leverage influence today? And I think brands would be really interested in that. So why don't we start with like just a bit of your background, because I think that will flow into influence.
Yeah, for sure. So I decided really early on when I was 21, I decided I could never work for somebody. I don't even know if that was a decision. It was just something I realized I couldn't do. So I knew I was destined to be an entrepreneur. And by the time I was 22, I had started my first 2 companies. And fast forward to today, I'm 35 years old. I've started and or launched 35 companies. 34, and I bought into one, which is Dirty Dough. And essentially, from the very beginning, I knew I wasn't going to be able to work for anybody. So we had a company called Diesel Sellers, or, you know, people know us as Diesel Brothers now, where we gave away trucks for free. And in that, we created a brand for ourselves, also known as the Muscle, which people know me as. And while we did that, we caught a ton of attention on social media. People loved what we were doing. We were doing viral videos and all kinds of crazy stuff and giving away $100,000 trucks for free. All you had to do was purchase something from us and you would get entered in to win. We were actually the model that launched the giveaway model in the United States. Nobody was doing a giveaway model before we were. So we did this for a few years. We became semi-famous. I actually had about 200,000 followers on Facebook in 2012 before we started the TV show. So we got put on the TV show, and while I was doing TV, I was also launching companies. I've had a company in every kind of category you can think of. I've owned plastic surgery clinics and dental offices and marketing companies, and I own supplement companies, hard money loan companies, Dirty Dough. I own one of the biggest fitness expos right now in the United States. My companies have kind of been all over the place, but what I have found and what I hold dear is, if anybody's a drinker, they've probably had The Rock's tequila, and it's garbage. It's the worst. But it's one of the best-selling tequilas because he has branded himself as such, The Rock. He could literally take a pile of shit, package it together, and call it The Rock's shit, and people would buy it. And I realized this at a really young age, that as I branded myself and as I really helped myself grow in influence on social media, I could do the same thing. My dental office I opened up when I was about 25 years old, and my first day and first year, we were the fastest growing dental office in Utah, which is a big deal because Utah has a lot of dentistry. The reason that it was so big was because I used and leveraged my social media to actually announce what I was doing. So I learned on like really, really young that influence and branding yourself was key to any business that you could possibly want to do.
So was the TV show that just like, you had how many followers before the TV show, and then after?
I had about 200,000. We were actually, I guess you could say, social media famous before the TV show ever came about.
Is that why you got on the TV show? Is that
It is. So what happened was we would do viral videos on YouTube and Facebook, and they would catch tons and tons of views. And we actually were seen on the Jay Leno show. He saw one of our skits, and so Jay Leno had us out to his show. And on the Jay Leno show, the Discovery Channel saw us, and they were like, well, shit, we want to have these guys on our TV show. So they came out and asked us to do a series, and we actually turned them down for about a year because we were doing so well in our giveaway business. We didn't want to deter it. We didn't realize how big TV was. So we took about a year, and then a year later, we decided to do our TV show. And we actually, to this day, we're the number one most watched premiere show ever on TV. It was actually a really cool thing.
Wow. So giveaway, let's go into that, because people think gimmicky or they might not just understand it. So break down the giveaway model, and then does that, like, where do you use some of that stuff anywhere in your businesses today?
That's actually a really good question. The giveaway model
You said actually, like, you're really surprised that I had a good question. I'm just calling you out on that.
Well, no. So here's the thing, dude. Nobody ever asks the second part of the question that you asked. Everybody asks, did you do the giveaway model? They never ask if it still works. And that's why I say that's a really good question, because the giveaway model was absolutely a crusher in its day. I'll just give you numbers. We started in 2013. We had no money. We bought a $60,000 truck and we put $30,000 into it. We told people if they bought a shirt or a bracelet that said Diesel Power Gear on it, that every dollar they spent would go into winning the truck, essentially a lottery. But because it was tied to, they could mail in an entry, it wasn't an actual lottery. So we did it in all 50 states. Well, so we're in a garage packing shirts and rubber bands, and we sold $750,000 worth of apparel our very first 3 months in business.
Wow.
Because we had a truck that was a giveaway. And from that, we realized that social media and the eyes that come, everybody wants to win something for free. So the giveaway model worked all the way up until about 2018. And then in 2018, everybody does it. Everybody has some kind of giveaway, some kind of car or truck or house or whatever. So in 2018, we decided to switch the model a little bit, and we actually started just doing cash. So we would tell people, hey, if you buy from us, you're entered in to win $100,000. And cash giveaways started crushing. Nothing else did very well. And then in about 2020, every type of giveaway just doesn't yield very much success. And hopefully the listeners on your podcast, if anybody's thinking about doing a giveaway model, I would even say the godfather of the giveaway idea, I would say to stay away from it. It's really, really hard to get the ROI back on whatever you give away. Now, you can do it on a small scale, like on my supplement company. Actually, today, we're doing a cash in every order. So every order gets cash, anywhere from $500 to $1. That type of small scale giveaway, that works. But anything big has not yielded results like it did 5-10 years ago.
So if you had to give an entrepreneur advice that has a dirty dough or 3 of them in a market, and you had to be thinking, how can they implement some type of giveaway, whatever that is, cash, whatever a giveaway thing is, what advice would you have for them? Do it, don't do it, or how to do it?
No, so I might get shot for this by Bennett, but I'm still going to say it because I know a lot of our franchisees actually listen. If I were running a dirty dough store, I would have 1 day a week that you give away 1 cookie for free to everybody that comes in. Now, I know this is crazy because you may have hundreds of people roll into your store, but 100, 200, 300 cookies to have a line out of your store every single week. Now, that kind of giveaway I can get behind. You do something like that on a regular basis. We've seen that with, I think Krispy Kreme Donuts actually does that, where they give away free donuts. That kind of giveaway, I think, actually works. But for those that are listening that are thinking about, or hopefully cross your fingers not doing, but maybe doing, if they're doing a big giveaway, the ROI almost 100 times out of 100 is not going to be what you think. The only way that it works, and I'll be really clear about this, the only way the giveaway model works now is to do something really, really crazy, like crazy amounts of cash, a crazy truck, a house, and then you have to match that cost in advertising. So if I give away a $150,000 truck, I have to at least spend $150,000 in advertising to advertise it.
So you're looking at $300,000 all in for that particular campaign. So let's say it's a giveaway, the giveaway a cookie, 1 cookie to every customer once a week or once a month or whatever the time frame is. How do you take advantage of that? Because as soon as you said lines out the door, I'm thinking there needs to be a camera, there needs to be social posting, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's not just about the giveaway, but how do you spread that word? What else would you add to that?
Well, that's exactly where I would have my content guys. I would have my content guys going to these stores with people out the door. And what the messages I would be sharing wouldn't necessarily be come and get a free cookie, but look at how many people want to have our cookies. We have lines out the door. You create the demand and then it's over. People are like, why do so many people line up out the door? You look at some of these restaurants, some of these small mom and pops that are completely packed, and you know they're packed because they're so damn good. So I would create an entire marketing scheme around that giveaway of every month or every week that you do 1 free cookie, and I would show that to the world. And if you took 10, 20, 30 stores and showed lines out the door, you would never have to market again.
And then I think I would have a camera guy, meaning video, out there collecting testimonials too. Like, why are you here? Why are you in line? What's your favorite cookie? All of that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, recently we just did the my cookie, the muscle cookie for Dirty Dough, and it did really well. And I asked every single person that I could that had it recently to give me an actual testimony of it. And the footage I got was unreal. People loved it. And that's the kind of stuff that you need to be gathering. You can't just put in the work and then hope that things come back. You've got to put in the work and then plan accordingly to use everything that you're getting and then share it with the world.
Let's talk about Dirty Dough specifically. Then I kind of want to zoom out into other businesses and how you manage them. And because you got all kinds of different businesses, all kinds of different industries. So how did the whole Dirty Dough thing come about, your involvement with them?
So it's funny, Bennett actually came to me a long time ago when he first started and he wanted my help with doing some things. And I specifically remember the lawsuit, the whole thing with the lawsuit. And I had just gotten out of a lawsuit with Diesel Brothers. And I was like, you know what, dude, love you to death, love the cookies, but this is not something I want to be a part of right now, which ended up being a great thing. Well,
did he tell you at the time what his plan was with the lawsuit? So just a little backstory. Crumble, which is a franchise, and I know some of their franchisees, they do very, very well. The whole company is crushing it. But they sued Dirty Dough for different things. And if you want to see some funny videos on it, just go to Dirty Dough's Instagram and their YouTube channel. They've got some hilarious content on that they were able to produce. So Bennett, at that time, I'm curious, did he tell you his strategy to like double down and lean into the lawsuit, or like what was his plan at the time, or what did you know about it at the time?
So, I didn't know very much, and I think it was still fairly new for him. That's how long ago that we talked. I knew that he had a plan because he told me that he had something up his sleeve, but we didn't necessarily talk about much. And then after that, I never really talked to him again. And then almost to the date, a year later, I had somebody come to me and say, "Hey man, I'm buying 4 Dirty Doughs, and I want you to come in and actually be a part of them." He said, "I'll fund them, I'll run them. I just want you in to mentor me blowing up these four Dirty Doughs." So I said, "You know what? I don't want to be a franchisee owner. I want to own the whole thing." So then I actually reached back out to Bennett and said, "Hey man, I don't know what's on the table for sale, but I would like to buy a percentage of the whole entire business." And then obviously that's where we went. And we kind of talked about this before we got on the air, but the reason I went with Dirty Dough is because the franchise model is so perfect. I've owned every kind of business, and the number one rule I tell people is try your best to have the least amount of employees as possible, because employees are headaches. They just are. The more people you got to deal with, the more bullshit you have to deal with. So if you're creating an effective and efficient and cash flowing business, you need to have the least amount of employees as possible. So when I walked into a Dirty Dough after going to a Crumble, I saw a Crumble with 6 or 7 people in there. I went into a Dirty Dough and I just happened to see one person working that day. It was the owner of the franchise. And I thought, wow, this I can get behind. And then when he took me through the whole process of how they do it, how they cook it, how they make it, how they ship it, I thought, dude, this is so airtight that my 12-year-old daughter could run one of these. So I said, you know what? I got to be a part of this. This is a franchise that makes 100% sense for me. And that's essentially why we did it.
So listeners, you hear, and I just got off a podcast with one of my portfolio companies called GoGlow, and they have a very unique employee model, and their employees make a ton of money. They really enjoy what they do at GoGlow, and they don't have an on-site manager. It's not needed to have an on-site manager. Similar things that attracted you to Dirty Dough. Here's my point in all of this. What I like to look for in brands that I get involved with, and it sounds like you're the same, something that's different. If he would have come to you and said, "I have a better cookie," well, that's super subjective. Do you really have a better cookie? What is the better cookie? And instead, what Bennett did over at Dirty Dough, he's the founder of Dirty Dough. He's like, we are going to manufacture our cookies off-site, so there's no waste and there's no more employees on site at the local cookie shop. So everything's shipped to them. And it, like you said, it's enough so your kid can go in there and put something in the oven, and it makes a consistent cookie as well. And that's another thing that they wanted to look for was consistency, taking away waste, and making things really easy for the employees at Dirty Dough. And so like that was important to me too when I started to hear they're doing something different. And this is interesting. Different brands, it can be a salon sweet brand, a cookie brand, whatever. You need to look for something that might be a Me Too brand, but they're doing something different. Or they might be a Me Too brand and the market's ripe for it. I think in the case of Dirty Dough and some others out there, there would not be a Dirty Dough if there wasn't a Crumble. So Crumble paved the way, and then there are Me Too brands. It'll be interesting to see which ones survive. My money's on Dirty Dough. I'm an advisor there. Your money's in it. You're advising too, but they're making some really good decisions. Anything else that was, that you noticed about Bennett or the model or anything that was kind of interesting to you, made you think twice about it? Like, this is interesting.
Just going back to exactly what you said, I actually looked into what the net worth of Crumble was, and I was blown away at billions of dollars of evaluation. And I thought, if they can do that, I can jump on board with Bennett and we can do the exact same thing. Like, plain and simple as that. So that's what did it for me. Listen, I'm in business to make money. I'm not in business for anything else. So when I look at something, the money has to make sense. And seeing what Crumble had done and what I know I can do with Bennett at Dirty Dough, I was all in.
All right, let's talk about money and investments. We have a mutual friend, Dan Fleshman, and he has a podcast called Money Mondays. It's a good podcast. Y'all should listen to it. But we help TV stars, professional athletes, entrepreneurs. We get to the point where we have excess capital, and it's really fun getting there where the questions to your friends are, where are you putting your money? Who's advising you on your taxes? All of this kind of stuff. That's why I started a mastermind with my friend Justin Donald called the Tribe of Investors, where we do a lot of that type of stuff with our mastermind members. But for you, like, where do you like to invest your money, your excess capital, more passive type stuff? Do you have passive investments that you like to put it in?
Yeah, I definitely have passive investments. I love real estate portfolio stuff. I'll be honest with you. I don't invest if I don't have some kind of control in what I'm investing in. I don't do funds. I don't do things where I put them into things and just wish for the best. Everything I invest in is somehow tied to my own control. Now, again, I don't control Dirty Dough.
So you're not talking about the controlling the company, but you're talking about maybe controlling some increased revenue or some say or something.
Exactly. Having some way to move the needle, right? I mean, dude, in Dirty Dough, I can move that needle. I can sell cookies, right? I have a company that's a supplement company. I can go on my social media of 6 million followers and post and sell exactly what I know I can sell. You know, same thing I do. I have a hard money loan company. I invest and I'm in complete control over what I'm investing, what my return is, what my collateral is. You know, anything that I invest in, I have some type of complete control that would pertain to the numbers in some way or another. So I don't do a lot of, hey, here's my money, get back to me in a year with 8 to 10% returns. I kind of bet on myself a lot.
So let's talk about the hard money a little bit, because do you use your influence on that, or is that more you have control? Because with hard money, you see what your collateral is, and you're kind of betting on the entrepreneur or the investor that has real estate or whatever the equipment might be. So give us a little insight into hard money lending, because I like hard money lending. I'm in some different funds where it's very liquid. You can, there's a quick return on capital. With this particular one, it's real estate driven and very favorable interest rates, but it's a place that I like to park excess capital. So if I need to get it out in a week because to invest into something else or put it somewhere else, I can do that. So educate the listeners on hard money.
So for me, I would love to get on your show and tell everybody I'm just this filthy, filthy rich person. I'm not. I have about $500,000 that I've dedicated to hard money loans. And so most of my loans are between $100,000 to $500,000. I don't.
I think that's great though, because some people in their mind, they might be like, well, you've got to have millions invested into hard money or whatever the thing is. I also encourage listeners, as you are out there investing in things, maybe it's a minimum of $50,000 to invest into something, but all your friends are putting in 100 or 200,000 or $500,000. Don't feel the pressure to do that because you can get overexposed to a certain asset class or something if you're not familiar with, or the macroeconomy changes, which we've all experienced with interest rates. So don't overexpose yourself. So I love that you said, hey, even though I've got money different places, you got about $500,000 into hard money, which you could put more into that if you wanted to, but it sounds like that's just kind of a smart play to keep things diversified. So keep educating us on that hard money.
Well, so the truth is, if you're going to do any type of lending, you have to understand you could lose that money, and you need to be in a place where if you lose that money, you don't go under. That's one of the reasons why I dedicate the $500,000 to that. But I will say this, everybody starts somewhere. So again, if it's $50,000 you have, start with 50. If it's 100, don't worry about what other people are doing, because those same people were at the same place you were at some point. But what I've realized is when I do my hard money loans, I try to know the person. I do my research and at least have somewhat of an idea with the person. I do my rates according to both time and the asset or the collateral that they're giving me. And then I also will do one without collateral. That's my most expensive money, but I will make the person do a personal guarantee. I don't do businesses where you can bankrupt and then I'm just out my money. Definitely not without collateral. So it kind of gives you three pieces there where you have a really good loan, that's short term. You're not going to make a ton of money, but you have great collateral, almost so much that you kind of hope that they default and you take the collateral. And then you have the one where it's decent collateral. You're going to make them sign and it's going to be short, but you are going to get a decent amount of money for it. And then the last one, my favorite one, is where they have no collateral. It's usually short term and you're charging them an arm and a leg for that money. And I make sure I get a personal guarantee from them. So if I have to sue them personally, there's no walking away from that. And I've been very, very successful. Again, knock on wood. I do most of my loans are about 250 to 350. I never go longer than 60 days. And I usually make about 12 to 25% on every single loan in that amount of time. And so, again, you're talking about 200 grand, that's $50,000 that you make in 60 days. That's how you make real money. And again, it is a big risk. A lot of people say, oh man, that sounds so great. Most people aren't willing to take the risk to actually get the money. So those that are get paid, and I'm one of those people.
Attention, franchisors and franchisees. There are two really important resources that I want to share with you that will help you avoid costly mistakes and increase your enterprise value. The first is our free Facebook group. It's a community that has over 4,000 franchisees and franchisors in it. When somebody asks a question, they get honest and authentic answers from multiple perspectives. You can join the group for free over at franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. The second resource I want to share with you is if you're a franchisee and you want to be around a community of successful Zs and other brands and in other industries, this is why I created the Franchisee Mastermind. If you want access to the best single and multi-unit owners to know what they're doing, or if you want to be around other multi-brand owners, then you'll want to check out my Franchisee Mastermind. The reason why people join is they want access to my Rolodex, my connections, to each other. They want a shortcut success, both short-term and long-term. Links will be in the show notes or at scalablefranchise.com. And you need to understand what they're using the money for. There's a reason that they might be using other people's money for that versus their own money. And so they're paying that much for money. They're probably making a lot themselves. So this isn't like auto loans or different things like that. Yeah. These are entrepreneurs that need the money. Maybe it's a bridge before something else comes in, or it's a rehab of a property, or it could be a number of different things. So it's just, I have a number of friends that do like personal hard money lending like that. But I thought that'd be a fun, interesting tangent.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about just in general, your companies. Like, how do you manage your companies that you have some, like, a lot of say in, not just influence in, but a lot of say in? Maybe, how active are you in there? Do you have a leadership team? Just give us a sense of the Keaton Hoskins like business operation.
So I spend the majority of my time mentoring in my main company, which is Limitless Society, where I mentor, entrepreneurs. And
Limitless Society is a mastermind. Would that be fair enough to call that a mastermind?
Yeah, essentially it's a mentor mastermind group where you can come in on a monthly basis. You can come and go as you please. I teach every single week, and then on that, I host big events. In fact, I have a really big event coming up in about 2 months. It'll be the biggest event Utah has ever seen in the entrepreneurial space. And
who do you have coming to that one? You got to throw out what kind of names do you have coming to that one?
So I've got Gary V, I've got Ed Milet, I've got Andy Frizella, Tim Grover, Russell Brunson, Eric Thomas, Kevin Hart, David Goggins, Cody Sanchez, Jen Gottlieb, Pace Morby, Ryan Pineda, Heavy D, Logan Paul. Trying to think, I've got a few more, but I can't think of everybody off the top of my head.
Those are some great people. By the way, we haven't released it, but Ryan Pineda has been on the podcast. Cody's fantastic. I know Cody.
Awesome.
She's amazing. And then I don't know a lot of the heavy hitters that you have there too, but what a great lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I'm actually spending $1.3 million to have this lineup. So it's going to be awesome. September 23rd in Salt Lake City. I'm actually I'm getting the biggest arena that Utah has, and we're going to try to pack the seats. And in my program, essentially, what's kind of cool, I open it to the public for my events. It is, it's a high ticket price for the events, but in my program, if you're a part of Limitless Society, you get stuff like that for free. And then in the group mentoring, I also break off and I do one-on-one mentoring with entrepreneurs who are looking to go from $1 million to 10 million to 20 million. I don't do a lot of mentoring with people that are starting out. I advise them to kind of go to the group. But even in Limitless Society, I have a CEO. In every one of my companies, I have a CEO. I own a supplement company. I own a fitness expo. I own a popsicle company, that I have part in Dirty Dough. Every single one of my companies has a CEO and has a complete infrastructure of employees and a team that run it. I dedicate, outside of Limitless Society, I dedicate only about an hour a week to every one of my companies, and that's meeting with my CEO and making sure that everything is progressively getting better, and then making decisions kind of at the helm, like, hey, how are we? Where are we at? Should we sell? Do we keep going? Do we grow? What decisions need to be made and what decisions can I make? And then how can I help? A lot of my companies don't need my social media influence anymore because I've set them up in a way that I plan to sell them. And if I'm going to sell the actual company, it has to be completely separate from me. It has to run separately from me. So every company I start with my brand and I use my social media, and halfway through or as soon as possible, I try to break myself away from it so that the value of the company goes up without me.
It's the same thing Alex Hormozi does. The reason that he doesn't talk about the companies that he's invested in or part of or has a lot of equity in is because when they go to sell it at some point, they're going to want Alex Hormozi to tag along with that. They're going to want him. They're like, the success is because of his brand. So same with you. People, a buyer, private equity, or whoever the buyer might be, like, oh, wait, Keaton has to come. We're not going to let him get out of this sale. So that's really smart. So franchisees, what I would be taking away from this, it doesn't matter. Most of you don't have influence, but you're still critical to that business. So influence / critical piece to the business, they're going to want you to be around, even the franchisor. So from a franchisee to a franchisor to just a normal entrepreneur, the more that you kind of remove yourself from that business and you can have that business run if you're on vacation or wherever you are, the higher price point that you're going to be able to get for that business, that enterprise value will be worth more because you are not critical to the success of that business. Private equity can come in and they can take over that current management team, and the business should be able to be on that same trajectory with them as it was with you. So super smart.
100%. And that's what I'm trying to do with everything. At some point, I'd like to get out of everything and just be done. And I know that means me actually exiting the company well before we get the company bought out.
Let's shift gears. What do you like to do for fun? Just fun. Cameras aren't around, not going on social media. You just want to have fun.
So I love spending time with my children and my wife. I have 4 daughters. I actually have another daughter on the way, so I have 5 daughters. I love spending time with my family. That's my favorite thing, my downtime. I have a helicopter that I also have a helicopter pad in my front yard. So I love to fly my helicopter. That is absolutely one of my favorite things in the world to do. Outside of that, it's the same thing as everybody. I have boats and snowmobiles and motorcycles and 4-wheelers and razors. I love doing that. I actually, I live on the mountain here in Utah, and my backyard is national forest. And so we ride all over the mountainside. Sometimes we fly up to the peak and have lunch. Anything that has to do with a motor, I'm 100% in. That's what I like to do for fun.
I live, my backyard's National Forest Service as well, and it is the best. Like nobody else, there's not access to it. You have to hike in a long ways to get access to it. So
yeah,
it's like the longest backyard ever. It's the best. I don't have a helicopter though.
I'll tell you, I don't know where you're at financially, but the quicker you can get a helicopter, the better your life gets. I tell that to people all the time. No one believes me until they get a helicopter, and they're like, dude, it's like a time machine. It's
That's what
literally
I've
the
heard.
greatest thing in the whole world. I went down. Are you familiar with Lake Powell? You probably heard of
Yes.
Lake Powell.
Yes.
So I went down to Lake Powell last week. I have a houseboat down there with a helicopter pad on top. Lake Powell's in the middle of nowhere. I got a brand new boat. I literally just bought. We went out on the lake and I hit a rock, destroyed the propeller. To get that boat fixed is about a 4-hour trip away. I jumped in my helicopter. 4 minutes later, I landed in the parking lot of the mechanic shop. I picked the mechanic up, brought him back to my boat in the middle of nowhere. We replaced the propeller. I did it again the next day. I hit another rock the next day. I went back and picked him up twice, and it only took me about 20 minutes to swap a propeller. I'm telling you right now, the second you get a helicopter, it changes your life.
What I heard you just say is helicopter pilots don't know how to operate boats.
Yes. Very,
Is that
very
true?
true. The one thing here in Utah, you've probably seen, we've got a ton of snow. And so all of the snow is running off and it's raising the level of the lakes like crazy. Well, Lake Powell is raising 2 feet every day. So you're driving through areas that are literally used to be rocks out of the water. Now they're covered and you don't know. So everybody's running into rocks down there right now.
Jeez. But it needed that water. It needed it needed it bad because it was rough.
Yeah. So all the lakes are replenished. We're good.
All right, let's talk about other influencers out there. So you get to run in some pretty amazing circles. You know, anytime you're throwing around Ed Milet and Gary Vee and, you know, some of these others, like what's it like behind the scenes with with friendships and learning from each other and things like that? Do you have like anything that you could offer the audience of like what it's really like behind the scenes with people that are playing this game at a high level?
Actually, yes. I had another podcast earlier today and I had that question and I'm going to give you the same answer. Everybody thinks
can you give me a better answer than the one that you gave earlier?
I definitely am going to give you a better answer, but it's going to be very, very similar. Everybody thinks that networking is like what it takes to get there. And they think that networking is shaking hands. And in fact, my really good friend, Brad Lee, which most people know, he tells people the more hands you shake, the more money you make. I disagree. I think that networking is more about getting into the room with people and then showing them your value and giving them your value rather than trying to take something from them or connect to them with no real purpose. So what I've learned over the years, because my TV show made me famous, I was able to get into the room with a lot of these people. And when I got into the room with these people, I showed them that I had value to give them. I wasn't asking them for anything. I wasn't saying, hey, can I take you to lunch? Hey, let's sit down. Can we do a deal? Can I have this? I would bring value to them, and whatever we did would be mutually beneficial for both of us, but more on their end. And they would find out really quickly that I was there to give rather than to take. And in that, I am able to create massive amounts of wonderful relationships that are very high level. One of the coolest things, even, Ed Milet and Annie Frisella, these guys are coming to my events for free because I asked them to, because we have such a great relationship because of the value in which I give them and they give me. I genuinely consider them friends because there's ultimate value that's given rather than me saying, hey man, what can I take? What can I take? What can I take? It's how can I help? What can I bring to them? So I would say for those listeners that are actually wondering how they can implement this, you need to figure out what you have and what is valuable that you can offer. When you step into a room to network, quote unquote, you need to see how many people you can give that value to. And when people in that room notice that you're there to add value and not take, you will be the pinnacle of the person there networking or creating what they would like to have as their network. And that, to me, that has been the number one rule. Don't network. Show your value, add your value, and watch how people come to you.
And it doesn't need to be immediate. I've known Ryan Pineda for a bit. And then he put out a post the other day. He's like, hey, I need some help with some franchising stuff. I didn't see the post, but I just got a group text with Dan Fleischman and Ryan. Dan just sent a text to both of us, said, Ryan, you need to talk to Eric. Eric's your man for this. And that's all it was. But Dan knows me as the franchise guy. Like, I'm in these groups and know different people that are pretty, that are influencers, or they're well-known or whatever. They have a big social media following, much bigger than mine. Mine's not very big, but they know me as the guy from South Dakota, the middle of nowhere, which I used to be ashamed of in some ways. And now I own it, and as the franchise guy. So at my first event with Dan, like, I don't even think I probably talked to him. I didn't. And then we got introduced and got to know each other, but he knew my background in franchising, and then really got to know it, and through different phone calls and different things. And so all of a sudden he's like, oh, this person needs franchising help, and Eric's my guy, makes that connection. And it's like that with other people. I mentioned those two because you mentioned both of their names on this podcast. So you don't have to try to immediately do something for these people, as long as they know like what you're good at, and that you are offering to help. And then you take the phone calls. You just offer help any way that you can. A lot of times I'm just like, hey, so-and-so, if you ever need help with anything franchise related, text me, phone call, a DM me, whatever you need, and I'll make those introductions. And multiple people have done that over the years. So I 100% agree. How do you, give me a story, or like who is somebody that you wanted to get to know, and then you were able to offer them something of value, whether it was immediate or maybe down the road, but it started, it's a relationship that you have today because you were intentional about giving value first.
So I'll just give you my most recent one. I've recently become really good friends with Logan and Jake Paul. In fact, last week, Logan was up at my house, and we were jumping out of my helicopter for skydiving. Everybody takes from those two. They're probably the most famous people on the planet right now. Next to The Rock, I would imagine that they're the most famous. And every interaction they have is people wanting and taking and needing and all of these things. And when we met, I told him, I said, hey man, whatever you guys need, I'm here. Logan has discussed with me, and I've discussed, his dad's actually in Limitless Society, has talked about me actually mentoring him. And one of the reasons is because not that he has more money than I do, but that there's so many other things that can be offered to him. And that he realized really quickly when we actually met like 2 years ago for Jake's birthday. They came out to spend a weekend with us because we just said, hey, we want to have fun with you guys. And from that time, I told them, whatever you need, man, anything I can do to add value to your life. And so, of course, they called us, Logan called us and said, hey man, I need to come out to Utah. I need to jump 18 times to get my solo skydiving. Can I use your helicopter? Can you take me up? And can we just spend one day doing as many skydives as possible? Absolutely, we can. I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm not going to tell you to do a shout out. I'm not going to do any of those things. Let's go up and let's spend the day, right? After the day, we jumped like 18 times out of my helicopter. It was insane. After the day, I had to go. It's actually when I went to Lake Powell. I left, and they didn't have a place to stay, so I sent them up to stay at my house. While they were at my house, I called my doctor and said, hey, I need you to go do stem cells. Go to my house and give them stem cells. He goes, okay, are you paying for it? Absolutely, I'm paying for it. Take them up, get them taken care of. I went to Lake Powell, I came home. Logan had texted me and said, dude, I have never had anyone give and not ask a single thing like you did. And then he said, if there is anything you need, you let me know, because you have now become a friend of mine. And the point of that is, in that whole entire thing, I could have asked him for a million things and he probably would have done it. But what he's going to remember is that somebody showed up and said, how can I be of service? How can I add value? I need nothing from you. I'm here to have fun and to bring value. And guess what? Now we're going to London, I think, in a month for his WWE premiere because he wants us there. But that's the kind of thing that you should find in you to add value to people that you want to spend time with. Don't call people and ask for things. Don't reach out and say, hey, can I take you to lunch? Figure out how you can add value to people and watch how their mind changes as for wanting to be around you. Everybody wants to take. Be the person that gives, and everything changes.
That's amazing. And that says a lot about you. And I 100% agree with all of that. And I've seen it actually work. And the thing is, you're not doing it to work. You're doing it because that's who you are. And that's what you would do. I had a friend, a new friend that I met about 6 months ago. He's got a company where they have barbecue sauces and rubs and all this. And I'd send him a text. I said, hey, what's the name of your website again? And he just gave me the name of it. And then I just bought a bunch of stuff. And then I said, hey, awesome. I just got this, that, and the other. Anything else I should get? And he's like, Eric, all my friends, like you're one of just a handful that actually went and bought some of that stuff. Because before he's like, everyone says, oh, I'm going to go buy this. And I guess they never do. I said, dude, I can't wait. I'm going to buy some of your stuff. And then a while later, I actually did it. And that just blew him away. And I didn't ask for a discount code or anything. Like I specifically remember I just wanted his website. I didn't want to know anything else because I wanted to go buy it without him offering me anything. And that's what people should be doing. Like I'll have somebody on my podcast or on speaking to my masterminds, and they have a product, a course or something, and I'll go buy it while they're on right there. And they might even give it away to my mastermind later. But like, I want them to know, like, man, I'm buying your stuff. I'm not having you on here for a discount, for anything. I'm doing it because you're giving such value. And my perception of that is the very least I could do is buy your thing full price. Like that's the least I could do.
100%.
So, you take it from the Jake and Logan Paul thinking the helicopter London to buying some barbecue stuff, the same principle. And that guy's never going to forget that. I'm like one of a handful of people that have done that. And that just becomes who you are. And all of a sudden you'll find yourselves doing that with different people. And one of these days it might be like a Logan or a Jake Paul, but that's just got to become who you are.
Absolutely. And that
Who's done that with you? Who's done that with you? Flip it around.
Not a lot, man. I will tell you, that's one of the reasons why I do it. Everybody, I just launched this event, and the coolest part about the event is I have a VIP night where all the speakers come back to my house. And for 5 hours, we do a cigar and whiskey, no speakers, no cameras, no phones. And it's just a high level of networking. And, it's expensive. It's $10,000 a ticket to come. I only let 65 people come. Okay. I announced yesterday, I had 30 people already sign up. We'll probably book it out in the next 2 weeks. We'll have it all packed out. But dude, I have 10 to 15 people immediately contact me and say, hey man, can I get a discount? Can I get in for free? What do I need to do to not pay? And it's always like that. Dude, I'm paying $1.3 million to make this happen. And you don't want to pay 10 grand to come to my house to do and be a part of the biggest networking piece in America. No one in America is taking that many names and putting them in a living room for 4 or 5 hours and saying, hey, just network for 5 hours. Nobody's doing that. So the value is so high. But dude, I have people that are asking for discounts and asking how they can get, it for free. I'll tell you, dude, the reason I do it is because I simply lack it around me. I don't have people that come to me and say, hey, what's full price? I want to pay full price. It just doesn't happen.
All right. So, what's next for you? Have you had any exits yet? Are you looking at getting close to exits on anything?
I have. I mean, dude, I started 35 companies. I've sold, 18 of them. None of them have been more than $1 million or $2 million. But my next really big thing, like I said, I'm all in on Limitless Society. I'm having so much fun creating millionaires. and creating business owners and creating real entrepreneurs. It's all I want to do. It's all I can even think about. I love what I'm doing with Dirty Dough, but that's it so far at the back of my mind. My number one thing is I want to change people's lives, and it is all I'm thinking about at the moment.
So how big is Limitless right now?
So actually this month, a year ago, I started it. We have over 1,000 active members. We had about 3,000 people that have signed up. And then I have about 100 people that I one-on-one mentor, which you can imagine how much time that takes.
How much do you charge for one-on-one mentorship?
It depends.
If you want to say like these questions, like,
no, yeah, no, I'll tell you. It depends on the program, but it's anywhere from $5,000 a month to, if you pay up front, it's $100,000 a month. I do monthly programs, or I just, you buy it up front. The program, like the group program, is only $297 a month, and that gets you essentially access to the whole network, the app, the calls, and all of these events for free. So like my group will be there for free, and a normal ticket price for the event's $1,000 to $3,000. So the group is really, really cool, but the one-on-one mentoring is what I love the most. And it is absolutely my favorite thing to do. But it's a higher ticket because I produce millionaires. I've created 13 millionaires in the last 12 months.
That's awesome. Who are you getting coached by anybody right now? Are you paid for coaching one-on-one or anything right now? I'm not. So I asked that in not, knowing that I have in the past and I will in the future, but right now I'm not. But just out of curiosity, are you paying for anybody right now?
I absolutely am. I actually have somebody that I pay that I do more. It's like spiritual breathwork stuff that I have as a coach. I'm lucky enough. I'm really good friends with Andy Frizzell and Ed Milet, and those are the two guys I look up to. Ed Milet, like crazy, and I could text him right now and ask him a question. In fact, I've been texting him about the event that he's coming to and speaking at. I think every single human being should be spending a pretty good amount of money to find someone who is living the life that they want and paying them to tell them how to get it and how to get it quicker than they currently are.
Yep. And if you're at the top or near the top of your game, you can be the one that is with other people that kind of puts a group together, like you and Ed and Andy, like, hey, I'm friends with these guys. They help me, I help them. And I just did that with some franchise influencers. There's only a few of us that have, when I say influencer, I mean just have a large audience. There's very few people with a large audience. And I just pulled them together the other day. I'm like, hey, let's just get together and learn from each other. And you can just start doing things like that too. In people that are playing at a high level in your industry or your franchise or whatever it is. So I'm a huge fan of that.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Keaton, what would you want to leave the audience with? Anything before I let you go?
You know what, dude? My biggest thing now is the one message I want to share with people is if your eyes could be open to actually see your true potential and capabilities, you would laugh at how small you've been playing right now so far in your life. And I mean that for everybody, myself included. The reason I named it Limitless Society is because I truly believe that everybody's limitless, and the only limits that we put on ourselves are the ones in our mind, and they're not real. So if I could spend time with the world and tell them this message, you have the ability to do anything, be anything that you want, but you have to first understand you got to get rid of those limiting beliefs. And then all of a sudden the world is your oyster. That's the whole thing. That's what I'm going to die teaching, because that literally is all I can fit. That to my core, that's what I want to share with the world.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.